This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of sports. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Alex.
And we are back here recording another episode. Going to be breaking down the first AP college football poll, highlighting the top 10 and as well as some of the top teams in the top 25. A lot of tops there.
Yeah, a lot of tops in that sentence.
Probably too much. Probably more than I should have thrown in.
More than enough.
But that's okay. In our second segment of the day, we're going to be talking about some of Major League Baseball's hottest races, talking standings, MVP races, batting titles, Cy Young, etc. Everything in baseball races.
And then to show off, we will be talking about our world-famous, amazing What's Trending.
Got to throw in What's Trending. We have great stories today featuring Stephen Curry, Kobe Bryant, as well as U.S. gymnast Allie Reisman.
And many more.
Of course. That's just a sample.
I like Allie Reisman. She's
just
cool.
A tease.
She seems cool.
Yeah, well, she's making dreams come true for someone, but I won't jump into that.
Okay, all right.
I won't jump into that.
Well, let's start with the AP Top 25 poll. Do you want to descend or do you want to ascend from 10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
Let's start with number 1 down to 10.
Okay, so everybody knows number 1 is Army.
No. It's definitely Duke. So,
yes. Hey, it starts with the same letter. Alabama, the rolling Crimson Tide, the Roll Tide all day, every day, according to their fans. Alabama, end of the year ranked number 1, start the year ranked number 1. Now, I want to say it's only happened one time, excuse me, in the last 20 years, the team starting the season at ranked number 1 ended it.
USC in 04.
Yeah, UFC, USC in 04, yeah. So, yeah, Alabama is entering the year at number 1. Not many people debated on that. Number 2 coming in is the runner-up to the national championship game in college football playoff from last year, Clemson. They're out of the ACC, finishing in the number 2 spot, coming back in at the number 2 spot. We have Oklahoma coming in at number 3. We're going to have Florida State at number 4. Alabama rival LSU coming in at 5. Ohio State, the winner of the inaugural college football playoff a couple years ago, ranked number 6 heading into the season. Their rival and Jim Harbaugh-led Michigan comes in at 7. Stanford comes in at 8 with the wonderkid at running back there at Palo Alto.
Christian McCaffrey.
Pretty good player, if you ask me.
Really, really good player.
Yeah. Number 9, is going to be SEC team Tennessee with probably the better quarterback of a lot of SEC teams there, you know. Not a lot of SEC teams have great quarterbacks. If you look at it, you got Tennessee and then the big drop-off. I'd say the best one there being Ole Miss with Chad Kelly, but I remiss with Ole Miss. Boom, you like that?
I loved it.
And finishing the top 10 is typically the only independent team that's ever really ranked, and that is Notre Dame, rounding out the top 10. How do you feel about this top 10? About cut and dry, you know, pretty much what you expected?
I guess so. I feel like they kind of threw a bone to Alabama and Clemson. More so Alabama at the number 1 team. They kind of just went off of last year. I don't really think Alabama is the number 1 team right now. And a lot of the times you have preseason polls don't really determine much. I mean, how many preseason teams that are ranked in the top 25 at the start of the season really finish there? It doesn't always happen that way. So
I'd say about a handful of teams, about 10.
Yeah, so it's definitely skewed. I think Alabama's still a great team, but they have a lot of question marks. Lost a lot of great players. You know, they have to replace the starting quarterback, starting running back. A lot of positions on the defense as well. One team I really do like is LSU at 5. Obviously, in my opinion, the Heisman favorite with Leonard Fournette at running back. Got a good defense coming back as well. And then another team I like is Oklahoma at 3, led by quarterback Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield currently probably is one of the top quarterbacks there as well in the Big 12 for sure. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much expected to be 1, 2, 3 like that, you know. At least I would say a lot of people expected it to be around that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of turnover, obviously, in Bama's sense, in LSU. Ohio State, there's a lot of turnover, losing 9 starters to the draft this year. Michigan is on the up. I think people give them a lot more credit than maybe they've so far garnered.
I think a lot of that's Harbaugh, though.
A lot of it is Harbaugh. He does skew things a lot in the sense of really getting people excited for football, Stanford, they are, they have a monster
really
there,
solid
running back, monster team, probably one of the more stable teams from last year to this year in terms of carryover in the top 10. Notre Dame, of course, the same way on the up and up. And Florida State, for the most part, as well. They have some questions with their defense, but, they...
going to start a true freshman quarterback as well.
Yeah, they are. But
it's going to be tough in the ACC.
Yeah, in the ACC competition, that's going to be tough. You have Clemson, you have, obviously, Florida State. You have a lot of good teams in that conference, so that's going to be interesting. Now, moving outside of the top 10, are there notable teams for you ranked 11 to 25 that you have noticed there? For me, I would say number 15 with Houston.
I think that's good for them. Yeah, good ranking.
They had a good year last year. They did really jump up in the conference. In the national spotlight in terms of ranking. I think they got up as high as, I want to say 15 last year or something like that. 18, around the high teens. They did get up there. Washington is ranked at 14. As a Washington State fan, I go humbug to that. But they do have a good team this year. At least it looks that way. Finishing 7-6 last year. You would think that they have a lot of turnover, not necessarily the same way, but more, with the same team, but building, for a team that be ranked 14 after going 7-6 the year prior. And then I would say one of the other notable ones for me would be UCLA at 16 there.
Okay, and one notable I look at is Florida at 25. Mm-hmm. I feel like they would be a lot higher if they still had Will Grier at quarterback. Will Grier just transferring to West Virginia. He had the suspension last year. Mm-hmm. He was a great player for Florida and a good quarterback. And Florida was a team that was really surprising last year. A team no one really looked at as making much noise, but they did a lot in the SEC before Grier got suspended. Now he's transferred. I feel like they'd be a lot higher if they had Grier. So they could be a team that if a quarterback play can sort of step in and produce, that they could make some noise. And this team, although it may be inside the top 10, we talked about outside the top 10, a team I really do like is Tennessee. They have a lot of experience. They lost a lot of games last year that were puzzling, a lot of games they should have won. Mm-hmm. But if they can do sort of the opposite of that this year and win those games they should win and hold on to the leads, they could be the team representing the SEC probably in the college football playoff.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of teams that have the ability to really move up in these rankings this year. I think TCU being one of them. We'll see how they really handle the turnover that was this offseason for them. I think Michigan State can definitely move up there. They had a good year last year. Ole Miss, I think, can definitely get inside the top 10. Teams UCLA, I think, can get inside the top 10. So this is, for a first, the preseason polls, this is kind of what, people expected, I would say.
Yeah, definitely not a lot of surprises. I would sort of differentiate some of these rankings, though. I think Oklahoma right now, in my opinion, probably is the best team on paper. I do like their roster they're bringing back. I do like Clemson with Deshaun Watson, but they have to replace a lot of people on defense. Lost a lot of great people like Mackenzie Alexander, Shaq Lawson, so they're going to have to obviously do a lot of work. So, And then obviously Michigan on the upswing as well with Jim Harbaugh. Great leader, great mentor. They're going to be a team, I think, that will be there at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think there's definitely some teams that move up, but I think a lot of the teams in the top 10 are going to kind of stay, not necessarily stay put, but they're going to stake around the top 10 for a while, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of things differentiate on schedules. A lot of teams sort of have different mindsets with preseason. I shouldn't say preseason, but non-conference schedules. A lot of teams like to play some of these double-A teams, really easy wins, kind of like a tune-up for what you would expect in the conference schedule. And teams, obviously, like Alabama, do things a little differently where it seems like they always play at least a really, really solid team in the non-conference play.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we're going to move on. We're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back and talk MLB races, something we haven't really talked on the sports show. We're going to get into some MLB races and talk some notable races and some, like you said, we're going to get into even some award races Ben said. So do you guys stay tuned here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. Jumping in to segment 2, talking about Major League Baseball and races. We got a lot going on, Alex. We have the season winding down about a month and a half from now. We have some tight division races as well as some award races.
Yeah, let's take a swing at this one.
Good one.
So let's start in the American.
What do you want to pitch at first?
Oh man, that was not as good as mine.
But it's something. Something's better than nothing.
That's a swing and a miss, Ben. Boom.
Oh,
let's
man.
Let's start in the American League. So we'll start with the East. This is division very much so up in the air. The Blue Jays and the Red Sox are currently tied at 70 wins, 54 losses. Right behind them are the Baltimore Orioles at the third spot, but they're 2 games behind. So this is very much anybody's division, the American League, the American East there. Moving to the Central, this seems a little more solidified in terms of the Indians, the Cleveland Indians. Are 7.5 games above the Detroit Tigers in first place of the Central there. This one's a little bit more of a not necessarily decided, but not as close as a lot of these divisions are. The Rangers as well are 5.5 games above the Seattle Mariners, and then the Houston Astros are there in third, and they're in 8 games behind. So not as bad as the 20 and 20.5 games the Oakland Athletics and the Los Angeles Angels are behind, but still quite a few games.
Yeah, quite a bit behind. Really, you look at that AL East, you could possibly see 3 teams coming out division into the playoffs. Obviously, you have the division winner, and then you have, I would imagine, at least one wild card spot, but who knows? They might even get them both.
Well, I'd say currently, yes, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Red Sox are both in the first 2, the 2 only wild card spots, 2 games above the Orioles there, and then the Mariners are right behind them with 1 game. Moving towards the NL, and we'll start here with the NL East. This is another division that's somewhat decided, but the Marlins have played good ball of late. Washington is 8 games ahead of the Marlins in first place there at 73 wins and 51 losses. From the Marlins down, it drops. It's 11 games back for the Mets, 15.5 for the Phillies, and the Braves have been out of it since the first week of the season, it seems, at 28.5 games. Moving to the Central, and this is another one that seems somewhat decided, and that's the Cubs, who've been playing great ball all year. Currently 12.5 games out of first place there, in first place. The Cardinals are 12.5 out of first, followed by the Pirates at 16 games, Milwaukee at 25, and the Reds at 26 back. So I would say even if it was 6 or 5 games, I would say with the way the Cubs have been playing all year, they have this one kind of handed. And then probably the closest division in the NL right now, and that is what always seems to be the NL West. You have the Dodgers and the Giants. They're right there neck and neck. The Dodgers are currently 1 game ahead of the Giants in the win column there. Compared to the loss column, you have the Rockies back 9.5, the Padres 16.5, and the Diamondbacks 17.5. So it always almost seems to be a 2-team race there in the wild card in the West between the Giants and the Dodgers. Not wild card, but in the West in the division itself.
And you have a 3-game series starting today between those 2 teams. So a really important series as the season winds down. Yeah, and then the wild card is just as heavily impacted there in the National League as well as the AL. You have the Giants and the Cardinals holding the first 2 spots there. The Giants a game and a half in the lead there of the first National League wild card spot. And then you have the Marlins right on their tail, 1.5 right behind the St. Louis Cardinals, 1.5 games back. And then the Pirates are still making some noise, 3.5 games back. So that's currently what we're looking at in terms of standings. It's going to be big, like you said. Yes, the Giants and the Dodgers start a 3-game series today, as a matter of fact. They start later today. I believe that's a night game. Yes, it's tonight, 7:10 Pacific time here
it's going to be a big for them. It's a 3-game series that can really put the Giants back in first place or extend the lead the Dodgers currently have. That's going to be a big one. What are some more races that you're looking at here, Ben?
Well, I guess with the American League, I'll sort of start with there. It looks like the AL East is going to dominate a lot, but one team making noise as of late is the defending world champions, the Kansas City Royals. Mm-hmm. They've won 8 in a row, and they find themselves only 4 games out of a wild card spot. Really a disappointing year for the Royals. They currently sit at 64-60, but they're playing great baseball as of late with 8 wins in a row. Definitely a team that could be looked at as maybe squeaking into the playoffs. They have that experience. They won the World Series last year.
Yeah, you can't count them out.
You can't count them out. Definitely not at all. And then a team I find really, really puzzling is the St. Louis Cardinals. So they currently sit at second in that wild card race behind the Giants. I think they're going to get a wild card spot. But when I look at the Cardinals, this is what I find astonishing. They have the best road record in baseball at 38-24. Mm-hmm. But at home, they only have a record of 28-33. So they're doing great on the road and terrible at home. Usually you would see it the other way around.
Yeah.
So if they can sort of find a way to correct that and find a way to win at home and have the success they're having on the road, I think they could be a team that could be a force to reckon with come October, because they're always in the playoffs, and they're one of the most consistent franchises in baseball recently.
Yeah, you compare the 38-24 in terms of win-loss on the road to their 28-33 win-loss record at home. I mean, you have a team that has just as many almost road wins, 37-28 on the road, as they do at the Nationals, but they're more consistent, seems to be at home, 36-23. So that's really, you're right, that's really where they're lacking. I mean, every team in that division, regardless of the fact that they're behind or ahead of them, has a better home record than they do. So that's really where they need to win the games. And it's almost seemed like it's just, tail of the tape, old story that the Cardinals are a good team at home, and this year it hasn't quite been the story. So, if they get in the playoffs, it's always a dangerous, thing for the Cardinals to be in the playoffs because they win games.
Right.
They really do. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that happen. A team that's really been surprising me a lot this year is the Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
And now Giancarlo might be out for the rest of the year, it looks, but at the same time, like I said, they happen to be, 8 games out of first place in their division, but in the wild card standings, they are right there in it. They are 1.5 games back from that spot the Cardinals currently hold. So, I mean, if the Miami Marlins keep putting together wins like this, they could very well see themselves in the playoffs for the first time in their Miami Marlin career.
Yeah, it's going to be close. They're a game and a half back of the Cardinals. I do think that losing Stanton is a huge loss. The Cardinals also lost an outfielder, Matt Holliday, last week, but I think for Miami, the loss of Giancarlo Stanton is a lot more impactful than Matt Holliday for the Cardinals. Yeah. I think that's a big loss. They still have some great players. Marcelo Zuna, maybe they'll find another replacement for Giancarlo Stanton.
You still have D. Gordon out there.
Right. Perhaps someone like Carlos Gomez or something. There's definitely a lot of options. I see them falling out of the race, though.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals have better pitching currently than the Miami Marlins do, other than the top of the Miami Marlins rotation. So I would see that. It's kind of what people are waiting to happen. Miami was playing really good ball, and then and then the injuries occurred. So that's really the problem for them currently.
Yeah, I agree. And then when you look at some of these other races, I think the one race that sort of is more impactful to me and kind of up in the air most is the American League MVP race. In my opinion, the favorite is Jose Altuve of the Astros.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at these stats. He's hitting .364. He's got 20 home runs. He's got 82 RBIs. He's got a wins above replacement of 7.5, 90 runs scored. He's got a higher average than David Ortiz, who's second at .322. So he's got a higher average of 42 percentage points. That's absolutely crazy. This guy's hitting .364. That is nuts. But then look at people like David Ortiz hitting .322, 29 home runs, 97 RBIs. The one thing I think that hurts Ortiz is he's a DH. He doesn't play in the field. So you don't have that added aspect to sort of go on. And then another guy from Boston, Mookie Betts, having a great season, hitting .313, 28 home runs, 89 RBIs. He's got 99 runs scored. That's the most in the American League.
Yeah, Mookie Betts has had a good year all year.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great people in the American League who could really battle it out here for that MVP race. And I think a lot of it may determine about where people finish, or these teams, I should say, finish in their standings. A lot of the times you see the MVP award really in every sport go to a good team, a team that maybe won their division And with Houston, I don't think that's going to be the case. 8 games back. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think it's going to be much harder for them to really get going. But I agree with you on terms of the Altuve there for sure. Another player, or not another player, but another award, I guess you could say, that we're really looking at would be the Cy Young winners of this year. You did mention that in the beginning of the show. I think currently, when it comes to the NL, I think it's really it's heavy in terms of contenders, I would say. I think Bumgarner's up there. I want to say Scherzer's definitely up there. Strasburg has had a revitalized year. He's in the conversation. Arrieta was up there in the conversation for a long time. Even Johnny Cueto and Jose Fernandez were up there. I think really after Clayton went down, after Kershaw went down in the DL, it became less of a conceived thing that he was going to be the winner again this year. And it's really shifted to more so Bumgarner, I feel like, has been the heavy favorite the last few weeks for sure.
Okay.
Now, the problem with him is he doesn't get the same run production that he has in the past. You know, he's pitched 2 complete game losses this year because he's not getting the run production that he's been so used to. So that's a problem for him, unfortunately. And then you look at the AL Cy Young, and I think definitely Zach Britton of the Orioles is up there, Corey Kluber, Chris Sale, Cole Hamels has had a better year this year. Verlander has really had a good year this year. Rick Porcello with the Red Sox. I think that's much more of an open race than I would say the NL is.
I agree. The NL's kind of tough. When we talked about a while back, the NL having so many dominant pitchers, you threw Kershaw in there, Bumgarner, Cueto. You know, at one point Strasburg was undefeated with 12-0. A lot of great guys, but a lot of them have sort of tailed off. You know, I think Arrieta,
Cueto, Arrieta.
Yeah,
Arrieta's in terms of wins.
Arrieta's probably still my favorite as it stands. He's 15-5. He's got an ERA about 2.67, so that's not terrible. But in the American League, I think you have really a lot of guys who can come out on top. Danny Duffy from Kansas City's been playing great. He's 11-1. He's got an ERA of 2.66.
Yeah.
Chris Sale kind of fell out of that really since his whole jersey cutting up debacle, all that stuff.
Pretty much since the All-Star break, yeah.
Yeah,
he's
really fallen out. And then a guy who I like is Aaron Sanchez of Toronto. He's 12-2, ERA of 2.99. At one point, a couple weeks ago, he hadn't lost a start since April. So he's doing great, but there's sort of thoughts that he might go back down to the bullpen. He got called up and started starting because they had some injury concerns. So who knows what's going to happen with Aaron Sanchez. But then you look at Cole Hamels at 13-4, ERA of 2.8. Kind of like turning back the clocks here, being the Cole Hamels we saw in Philly and helped them win a World Series. He's really turned back the clocks for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, Hamels has looked really good this year, and that's something, like you said, he's definitely turned back the clocks and really, showed, what made him so good with the Phillies. I think it's, it always seems that the NL Cy Young race is so up in the air and the AL race is so much easier to pick. But this year it's more so, I think, a little harder for people to decide. I think for the NL, I think if it came down to who was the best hitting pitcher, it would be pretty easy to decide.
That would be Bumgarner.
But it's obviously it's based off of pitching. But no, I think you're right. I think the AL is going to be much more up in the air this year than it has been in past years. You have guys like Cueto who had a good year, but he is the second fiddle to Bumgarner in that sense. So Bumgarner will get the looks more so. Arrieta won it last year, but he's not doing what he did last year in terms of numbers. He's, has almost as many strikeouts so far, but he's not doing the same thing. Scherzer's the NL leader in strikeouts right now, but it's all like you're right. All these guys are slowing down.
Yeah, definitely. And then I guess we'll sort of round out here with the National League MVP favorites.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think right now I'm looking at Daniel Murphy. He leads the league in hitting at 347. He's got 23 home runs, 90 RBIs, and 75 runs scored. Definitely having a great year for the Nationals. That's second in the NL in RBIs. And then you look at a couple of Cubs players, in my opinion, Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. So I'll start with Rizzo. He's got 25 home runs, 87 RBIs. He's hitting 301. And then Chris Bryant having a great season over at third base. He's got 32 home runs. The RBIs aren't that high at 84, but he is hitting 299. So Nolan Arenado actually leads the league in RBIs. He's got 104 RBIs, the first guy to 100 RBIs.
Man.
And then we have Edwin Encarnacion for Toronto in the American League. But he's only hitting 283, and he does have the added advantage of being in Colorado with that hitter's ballpark. So I think that sort of helps him, but I think it'll hurt him in the MVP race.
I think I agree with all of the people you said, and then I think also Nolan Arenado of the Rockies is up there as well. He's tied with Bryant for 32 homers this year, 104 RBIs. You know what I mean? That is somebody that stands out to me of the guys you said.
Yeah. He I mean, I just read his stats. He's definitely his stats are more eye popping.
Yeah.
But I think him being in Colorado is going to hurt him.
I think so too. Did you say Seager? Because I think Corey Seager definitely has a shot.
Corey Seager has a shot. I'd say he's definitely going to win the Rookie of the Year over the shortstop. He's the shortstop for the Dodgers.
I think he's more so in place to win Rookie of the Year.
I think he's maybe a year or two away. His stats aren't really sticking out to me as some of these others, but he's definitely going to win the Rookie of the Year. Yeah. He's been, in my opinion, he's been the Dodgers' best player all year long, and he's a rookie. I mean, that's crazy.
That's how kind of Peterson was last year. You know, they were getting these production from these young guys. I think probably currently, I'd say the favorite is probably Bryant, Daniel Murphy. Those two are probably the favorites, I would say.
I agree.
I mean, he strikes out a lot, but you know, it's a good plus for all the production you get out of Bryant. You know.
Mm-hmm. So, I agree. Yeah.
I'm happy we agree with one another.
Thanks. Me too.
All right, we'll take our last break and we'll get into what's trending. It's pretty exciting. Are you excited?
I'm always excited.
Okay, that's a unique thing to say. I'm pretty excited. I don't know if I'm more excited than you, but I'm pretty stoked.
I'm just holding it in because I'm so excited. I just want to release all this excitement into the segment, so I'm trying to hold it in right now.
Okay, well, we'll take our last break, and then we'll be right back with what's trending.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. Jordan and Keith is Entertainment Tonight meets Access Hollywood.
I'm Jordan. The guy laughing, that's Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Done.
Just stops.
I like it. Okay, well, we're heading into our amazing segment. What's trending?
Absolutely.
So, you started last week. You started last episode.
You should go and start.
I'm going to go. All right. Let's start with a little bit of news out of Brooklyn. And that is the Brooklyn Nets. They're capitalizing on the fact that they signed Jeremy Lin this year with some creative T-shirts. The Nets are selling Brooklyn and Brooklyn Sanity T-shirts.
It's I get it. It's a play on words, but come on.
Huh?
If you're really getting so excited over Jeremy Lin, then you don't have much to look forward to as a franchise.
Oh man, that's funny. If you're really getting that
seriously,
excited
he's a backup point guard. You're getting excited over Jeremy Lin, Brooklyn. Come on,
Brooklyn Sanity.
Let's be honest here. Like that's nothing to really get excited about.
Brooklyn Sanity. That's what they should chat in the the dun 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 dun. I should go Brooklyn Sanity.
Watch him just tear it up.
I know.
He's like the MVP darling status of New York all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's the biggest name in New York, even more so than guys like Donald Trump, and I think they have other big names in New York, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of
towers in New York.
Yeah, like everyone that used to play on the Yankees.
Derek Jeter.
He
becomes a bigger name than Jeter.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
We'll see about that.
All right, hit me with your first what's trending.
Okay, so we're going to stick in the world of basketball. So Kobe Bryant recently retired, Los Angeles Laker great, really NBA great. I mean, come on.
One of the all-time greats.
One of the all-time
top
greats.
5, maybe.
He's having quite a career after basketball as well.
You
know what I mean? He's currently opening up in a $100 million investment group. But tomorrow is August 24th. Do you know what month of the year August is?
8/24.
What are Kobe Bryant's 2 numbers he wore in the NBA?
8 and 24.
So tomorrow, August 24th, is Kobe Bryant Day in Los Angeles.
Wow.
The
That's
Los
clever
Angeles
to
City
do that.
went on to say that we're thanking Kobe Bryant for his single-minded dedication to excellence, the fans, and the entire city and region of Los Angeles. For 20 years, we were all the beneficiaries of Kobe's incredible talent and legendary work ethic, and on 8/24, we'll gather to say, thank you, Mamba. Thoughts?
I mean, I'm not a Laker fan, so But I mean, that's cool that they do that. You know, that's clever. Whoever picked the day, that's clever.
Yeah, kind of like how 7-Eleven has like free Slurpee on July 11th. 7-Eleven.
Oh, is that what that stands for?
Yep. In case you didn't know. But I like I said, I think it's clever. I think it's definitely sort of warrant. You know, it's definitely something that should happen. Kobe Bryant has literally everything they said for 20 years. He's sort of been excellent for the Lakers and given them a whole lot in the city. So I think it's definitely worthy of happening.
All right. Let's move to my number 2. Move to the world of baseball, and as we once already talked about, Tim Tebow's taken a swing at playing professional baseball. Well, currently, we didn't have much news at the moment. We reported it first, but currently 20 MLB teams are confirmed to attend Tebow's workout. That's almost all of them. Not quite all of them, but that's a big chunk of a lot of the teams. What do you think of this, Ben?
I'm surprised not everyone's really sort of wanting to take a look at it. Of course, that is still a possibility. Only 20 have been confirmed.
Yeah, 20 of 30, though. I mean, that's quite a few teams.
Yeah, 66%, 2/3. So apparently that the Dodgers held a private workout with Tebow last year, and we're really impressed with him. So maybe he can sort of capitalize on that and build and become a better player within the next, I don't know, year up to this training and this open workout 10 days from now, or a week from now, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe he'll get a shot. We talked about on the show. I think someone will sign him, regardless.
I mean, the upside, not a lot of downside, I suppose. So it depends on how you look at it. All right, is it time for my last one?
Time for both of our last ones, yeah.
Well, it's time for my last one because I'm talking mine first.
Okay.
All right, well, I hear you're a Packer fan. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I think I heard that back in 2010, I think. Anyways, somebody who's been missing training camp as of late, I think he goes by the name Jordy Nelson.
I haven't heard of him.
Well, he returned to practice and currently is taking part in his second practice on field with his eye to return for the regular season opener in Jacksonville, September 11th.
Here's one thing I didn't understand is the game last Friday, the preseason game against the Raiders, they dressed Jordy Nelson and had him go through pregame warm-ups with no intent of playing him.
Just get him in the fuel. It's no. I mean, they did the same thing with Antonio Brown. Well, he chose to do it himself.
I don't really understand. Like, why are you going to make him dress and put on pads and helmet and everything if you literally have no intent of playing him? Like, he can do that in practice.
It's a rehab thing, man. It's just a sense of moving forward and getting the comfortability of it still. You know what I mean?
I just thought it was kind of puzzling, but definitely great to see Jordy back. I think he's a key part of their offense. I think that showed last year. I'm not going to make an excuse or anything, but it showed last year that they were not the same offense without the deep threat of Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, and it's funny that he's not necessarily a blazer when it comes to deep threats, but he tracks the ball really well, and he can, timing. He's a good deep threat, I would say, for sure.
He's definitely a good player. I'd say he's one of the more underrated wide receivers.
Yeah, I would say that. I could see that. I mean, because he's not necessarily underrated, but he's not overrated. He's good and he's better than a lot of people give him credit for because they don't always put him in the ranking of top receivers.
Right.
But I don't think he's top, but he's very good.
I'd say top 10.
I would say top 10. I wouldn't say top 5, but I'd say top 10.
Yeah,
I would
definitely
love to have a guy like Jordy Nelson on my team if I didn't have, if I needed wide receiver depth, that guy is killer.
Yeah.
But then again,
agree.
how good is he without, Rodgers? It's like they guys share a brain.
Right. That's true. There is some truth that I feel like a lot of times wide receivers are a product of their quarterbacks. But, I mean, at the same time, you still got to do stuff to get open. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see. And hopefully Jordy Nelson can have a rebound year this season for the Packers. They're really going to need him, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for the NFL season to kick off.
You're just on point all day today, aren't you?
I am, man. So, in that sense, I'll toss it back over to you. Last one for the day.
A little halfback toss. Okay, so moving on. U.S. Olympic gymnast Allie Reisman.
Yeah, I like her. She's cool.
Wins a gold medal, wins some individual medals at some silvers. So she recently had an interview with Yahoo Sports talking about what she looks for in a date. Okay. So she was talking about, I love people like Zac Efron and Rob Gronkowski, for example, but
I'm not saying anything in terms of the two of them, but Rob Gronkowski is so much taller than her. That would look ridiculous.
Well, yeah, a lot of gymnasts are pretty small.
That's like Klitschko and
Hayden
his
Panettiere.
Wife. Yeah, she is like 5'0" and he's 500 feet. You know what I mean? Like, he's huge.
Yeah, he's a big guy. So, I mean, but anyways, so at the end of this sort of interview, the 22-year-old received a date invitation from Oakland Raiders tight end Colton Underwood.
Never heard of him.
And she accepted it.
Wow.
So the connection came to sort of be formed from the 2008 gold medalist Shawn Johnson, who is friends with Reisman and is married to the Raiders long snapper Andrew East.
Yeah.
So obviously East and Underwood have the connection with being teammates, and Reisman and Johnson have the connection being Olympic gymnasts. So then they went on Twitter, and she tweeted at Colt5, which is his...
Colton Underwood.
Yeah. So, thanks for the sweet video. Looking forward to meeting you, with a smiley face.
Wow.
And he responds, anytime. Looking forward to meeting you too. Safe travels back, and see you soon.
Yeah, Colton Underwood, he was undrafted free agent in 2014. He signed with the Chargers, and now he's currently with the Raiders. Well, I mean, he's only 6'3". He's not necessarily Gronkowski size or Klitschko size, but I mean, I don't know how tall Ali Reisman is.
Yeah, but I mean, so like Ali Reisman obviously looking for a date, and now she has one.
She's a brisk 5'2".
In Colton Underwood. So he's a foot and 1 inch taller than her.
Yeah, well, they're the same age, so there's that at least. They're both 22.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe
I'm sorry, no, he's
it'll
24.
work
She's
out.
22. Yeah. Hey, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen via social media.
Right. Think about all these people who like ask celebrities to prom with videos and stuff, and they actually happen. So this kind of a little different, but still sort of similar.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty cool. That's one of the better what's trending stories, because that is literally what's trending. That's not only trending to us, that's trending to the world.
The world.
The world. Well, tell the world, because we're done today, where they can find us.
Unfortunately, we are done today, but if you want to listen to any other segment, shows, anything that has to do with the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, you can find that at gsmcpodcast.com. Click on the portfolio of podcast tab, and you can find all of them there, as well as a coming soon tab for podcasts coming soon in the future. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at gsmc_sports. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, Facebook, and I think that's it.
And our website, of course.
Right.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for listening, as always. Ben and I are going to get out of here, but we will see you on Thursday. Is that correct, Ben? Am I right in the statement?
That is very correct.
All right. Well, hey, guys, thanks for listening. Have a good rest of your 2-day break here from us, or 1-day break, excuse me, and we'll be back on Thursday.